And welcome to the Sports Skillet live stream. We do it every week here on Fridays. Thank you for joining us. We want you to hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. Also, like, follow, and share on our other social media sites. Check out sportsskilletradio.com for all the latest sports news. Great articles from Joe and Mike. Great content as well. You can go in there, download our app, so you get great content from Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. You get our show as well. Great stuff going on. Like, follow, and share, as I said, on our social media sites, but hit the subscribe button here on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our great YouTube content as well. I am Jay, and as always, I am joined by Jeff Scott, Joe Ippolito, and Mike Nebbia. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. What's up?
I'm bored.
Well, let's see if
I thought you were Jeff.
I'm changing it. I figured, my identity keeps getting hacked every year around this time, so I might as well go with something.
There you go. Well, let's see if I can get you out of your boredom, Jeff, with some of the great sports stuff that we got going on. Let's lead off.
Hopefully it's still going.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully we don't have any more COVID-19 positive tests coming out, although I did hear today that that the
Well, thinking about it, if you think about it, Jay, all those players are testing positive. At least they're getting something they're passing, correctly.
That's true. There you go. Of course,
I'll work on it next time.
Okay. Of course, I got news that the St. Louis Cardinals game was postponed. We're doing this on Friday, so another Major League Baseball game being postponed. But
we're down to 58 games now?
we're up to a ton of them, I'm telling you.
Oh, geez.
But let's start off with the NBA. We had big story come out of the NBA. The Sixers, Ben Simmons had a subluxation of his knee. He is out for who knows how long, indeterminate amount of time. Joe, I'll go with you on this one. How do you think it's going to affect the Sixers' playoff chances not having Ben Simmons around?
Well, obviously they already clinched. But, this definitely affects seeding. The Sixers are only a game and a half back of the 4th seed right now, which is probably the highest they'll probably end up going. But
considering how the Bucks fared this season,
I know this hurts them a lot. The Sixers still got a good team that compete around, but Ben Simmons being out is like that's their best distributor by far. And I know they were trying to move him more to like a forward position.
Yeah.
And take the ball out of his hands. But this just doesn't help their chances of getting out of the first round.
No, and the thing of it is, I think for Brett Brown, this year was Eastern Conference Finals or bust. I don't know if you agree, but I think with this Ben Simmons injury, it's not going to cause Brett Brown, it's not the root cause of Brett Brown being fired, but I think it's a symptom of it. Like, I think it's a contributing factor. And I think if Brett Brown and the Sixers don't figure out a way to get to at least those Eastern Conference Finals, I think Brett Brown is going to be gone.
I don't know if the injury is going to give him more leniency or not, because I don't know. You can only be left to speculation with this whole injury. Maybe Ben Simmons is back by the time playoff time comes around. Say they make it out of the first round and he's back by the second round. But I don't know. Brett Brown's on. I don't know. I wouldn't be Sixers management right now.
No, I wouldn't either. It's going to be a tough decision, because with Ben Simmons being out, playing under this coronavirus rules and things like that. But I think bottom line was Brett Brown had to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think you could be looking at maybe Ty Lue, Kenny Atkinson, or maybe even they try to get Becky Hammond, That would be an interesting choice as a new head coach. But I think definitely if the Sixers don't make it to at least those Eastern Conference Finals, get further than they've gotten before, Ben Simmons or not, I think Brett Brown is gone. I think, he had to make it to those. I think that was the bar that he had to get to this year.
Yeah.
I'll throw it out there to you and Mike. Any NBA playoff predictions for this year so far?
Just because Lakers been struggling recently, don't count out. Some people are sleeping on them. Never sleep on playoff LeBron.
I agree.
I know some people are counting them out. They lost to the Rockets last night. They lost the game before that to I forget who, but don't sleep on LeBron. Watch out for the Heat. Heat are going to be a very I feel like they're an underrated team, even though they've beaten the Bucks twice this year, and I know they just lost to them, but they have them on the ropes in the first half. They watch out for the Heat. They may not have Jimmy Butler's their superstar, but even then he doesn't do as much as most superstars do. They're very team oriented, as they play as a team a lot. So watch out for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, with Jimmy Buckets on the team.
Jimmy Buckets, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo. They got their lineups all around wonderful.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of interesting. I'd like to see the Sixers fans' reaction if Miami were the team that actually made it to the Eastern Conference Finals or maybe the NBA Finals with Jimmy Bucket, on the team this year, going farther than the 76ers did with him on the team last year.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting reaction, I think, from the Sixers fans out there. Seeing him get a little bit farther than Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and Brett Brown or whatever, that to me would be pretty interesting to see their reaction if that were to happen.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to switch over. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to switch over. We're going to talk some NHL coming up. So, we will be right back with some NHL action after this.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
All right, and we are switching over to the NHL playoff.
I just read something about an ex-Angels PR official being indicted for distributing the fentanyl to Tyler Skaggs.
Ooh. Let's jump into that. What do you got on that, Mike?
It says, this is per the Los Angeles Times. Eric Kay, a longtime Angels PR official, was indicted by federal authorities in Texas for distributing the fentanyl that caused the fatal overdose of Tyler Skaggs.
Wow.
Interesting.
And this just broke about a half hour ago.
Oh.
Not good for the California Angels, I will say that. What do you think, Joe?
I guess in a way, I guess it's closure on the whole situation in the first place.
Yeah.
But that's just sad to see that came from someone in the organization.
Well, we had a feeling it was coming from someone in the organization, just didn't know who. It could have been a trainer, it could have been a coach, it could have been one of his own teammates that did it. But now that we know who did it, we have some form of closure. We won't have total closure until the court hearing, until the verdict, until his sentencing. That's when I think we'll have total closure on this Tyler Skaggs case. And I don't think that will happen until mid to late 2021 at the earliest.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. These things take a little bit of time to kind of play out and get resolved. But that whole Tyler Skaggs situation is very sad, a very sad situation. And hopefully, this gets resolved and the person is brought to justice if he's found guilty. And to me, it's a very sad, overall, it's a very sad situation, that whole Tyler Skaggs story. It really is. But since we're on the topic of baseball, want to talk a little bit about the Phillies, the Mets, and the Yankees. Mike, I'll start with you. What do you got on the Mets this week?
The Mets have just been absolutely brutal to watch. I can't trust Luis Rojas as far as I can throw him right now. They've struggled against the Braves. They split against the Nationals. Now they've got, I think, 4 against the Phillies.
Marlins.
4 against the Marlins, the best team in baseball. Wait, Marlins best team in baseball? Oh, no. No.
I mean, maybe by record.
No.
By record,
Marlins,
yes. By
the
actual best
NL
team, no.
Yeah, I got to agree with Joe. Maybe by record, but definitely not, team competition.
Not the best team. No.
Yeah.
No. Also, Don Mattingly from Marlins became their all-time winningest manager, and he hasn't had a winning season there. So,
can you imagine that? You don't know.
Watch out if the Marlins make the playoffs, though.
Marlins
only made the playoffs twice in their history, and they won the World Series both times. So,
I don't know. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but they and the Phillies have a absolutely ridiculous schedule at the end of the year, because they came out. Major League Baseball just came out, redid the schedule again, threw in a ton of doubleheaders towards the end of the year to make up for all these games that the Phillies, the Marlins, and some other teams have been missing because of the coronavirus. They've been parked, or they've had the coronavirus. They've had players or personnel test positive for the COVID-19 virus. And Major League Baseball is wanting to jam 60 games at all costs in there. So now you have the Phillies, the Marlins playing this ridiculous schedule with doubleheaders in there. Phillies are going to play Miami 7 times in 5 days towards the end of the season in Miami. Bunch of doubleheaders thrown in there. It is going to be crazy.
7 times in 5 days. Are they playing twice a day? Is that on some games?
Yeah, they're going to throw a bunch of doubleheaders in
working.
What are they on drugs too? Like, seriously, how are they going to get through this?
Some of them are.
That's what Major League Baseball is doing. They're saying we want to get all 60 games in there. So towards the end of the year,
they're not going to get all 60 games in.
I don't know. They're going to try. They're going to, they're going to try their best. Now, if one of these teams that have scheduled all these doubleheaders, like the Phillies or the Marlins, once again comes down, a player or personnel come down with the COVID-19 virus, then that'll be real interesting, because I don't see how they could possibly make up any more games than they are. But
triple headers.
Yeah, right. Play in the morning and then 2 in the afternoon. To me, that's I mean, they're going crazy with these doubleheaders. I mean, if you like baseball, like I'm a fan of it. Joe and Mike, you guys are fans of it too. If you like baseball, you're going to get an abundance of it going forward with all these doubleheaders and everything. But
how good are the games going to be, though? I mean, they're probably going to be playing tired. Like, they're going to be standing around like.
Well, that's what the extra roster spaces are for, I guess.
Yeah, but if people are getting COVID,
I mean, the roster spaces are actually going to they're going to get cut down to 28 now very soon if they haven't already.
Bad idea.
Yep. And well, to answer your question, Jeff, the doubleheaders are only going to be 7 innings. So,
so think Eastern League Trenton Thunder when you think about the doubleheader length.
Yep.
Yeah. So no 7th and then halftime show. Dang it!
No.
So looking forward to it.
Halftime.
You're
You
still
gotta
on that,
have
aren't
a, you
you,
gotta
Jeff?
have a show in between the two games.
No,
Gotta have
but-
some entertainment.
Pikachu.
But to Jeff's point, since we're talking about the New York Mets,
Oh, no.
J-Lo,
Segue.
yes, J-Lo and A-Rod took a VIP tour of Citi Field this week. You know, getting to learn the layout, getting to learn where everything is, being shown all around. You know, so it appears as though, you know, their bid is being highly considered to become the new owners of the New York Mets. You know, I mean, they're right there. I mean, I don't see the Josh Harris group being shown a VIP tour at Citi Field, but I do see J-Lo and A-Rod being shown the red carpet tour at Citi Field. So that's
Dylan already knows his way around Citi Fields.
Yeah, he should. You know, so that leads me to believe that if they can somehow get close, you know, money-wise to Cohen, you know, maybe they could be the new owners, you know, and we could see that new seventh inning stretch situation going on here. You know?
I'm glad Jay's on my side on this. Sorry,
Oh,
Mike.
yeah.
Pekka.
Actually,
You
so
know?
is Joe, right, Joe?
Of course.
No.
Be one of us, Mike. One of us.
Yeah, you know, that new
You're
seventh
not
inning
in a
stretch.
1980 scary movie.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, building that whole new – and think of that whole new entertainment complex that they want to build around Citi Field, you know.
Exactly.
Bring that in there. So it could be really interesting if they're the winning bid. They just have to get close to Cohen, I think. You know, get into that where it's really close between the two. And I think they could get the bid. They could win it over Cohen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't bring somebody. My thing is, you don't bring a potential bidder in and show them all around, give them that VIP tour if you're not seriously considering their offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, you're talking about someone that's actually well known more, not just in sports, but all around.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that exposure, if they buy the team, is going to be a huge, you know,
And
probably income coming in.
oh yeah, and that's the key thing. I think that the other major, because they had to be approved by the majority of the other MLB owners. But I do think exactly what you're saying. You look at the ties that Jennifer Lopez has, the companies that she works with that they can branch out to that maybe right now they're not, you know, I don't want to say familiar with, but not branching out to. But you get Jennifer Lopez as one of the co-owners of the New York Mets, regardless of how much or regardless of her percentage, the fact that she works with all these other companies that could bring a new audience into Major League Baseball. Same with A-Rod.
Exactly.
And same with some of the other, you know, like Vita Water or whatever.
Also look at the fact that she will also bring in advertising for the companies that she works for. Like, because she'll now own a team, that advertising revenue will actually come into these other companies. So that's more work for them and more exposure too. So
exactly. It's like a win-win, which is why I think that Major League Baseball would seriously consider those two as owners, you know, maybe over Cohen, because Cohen would be I think a very good owner, but he doesn't have those extra ties that Jennifer Lopez and A-Rod do to these outside companies and so
that cherry on top effect.
Yep, exactly. Where they could work with them and, you know, give them advertising in Citi Field and kind of merge the two and bring in that new energetic audience to the Mets and to Major League Baseball. You know, so yeah, I think the only thing I think is they have to get close to the amount of money that Cohen is, to make it, okay, we're taking a little bit less, but it's not that much of a haircut, from the money that Cohen's bidding. And I think if they can get that close to Cohen, I think very, very likely they could end up going with J-Lo and A-Rod, and
Anyone would be better than the Wilpons.
This is true. I will give you that.
Pika.
I will give you that. But Joe, we had Phillies and the Yankees going head-to-head the past couple of games this week. What did you make of the series between the Phillies and the Yankees here?
Well, it's a good series. Made me miss Didi again. I miss. But obviously, they split the series. Phillies look pretty good for a team that hadn't played in a while. Their bullpen surprisingly held up yesterday. I will say in the first game of the doubleheader, when the Phillies won 11-7, their bullpen started falling apart. If the Yankees, two things, Mike Ford got I wouldn't say he got hosed because it was pretty close, but Angel Hernandez made a pretty questionable call that would have loaded the bases down 4. Aaron Judge put him back in the game. If they had 9 innings, who knows? Yankees could have come back, but Phillies look pretty good. The Yankees, they split 2 against the Phillies. It's fine. They're still the arguably the best team in baseball. So, I think the Phillies fans should be very optimistic about how the team looked against the Yankees, and Yankees fans really shouldn't worry too much.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Phillies bullpen still may be a little bit of concern. I mean, they did get the win over the Yankees Wednesday night. The bullpen looked a little better, more, I don't know if you want to say self-assured, but they started getting outs again, which you like to see. Outside of one pitch by Nick Pivetta, they pretty much locked down, held down the very formidable Yankee lineup. I mean, with that Yankee lineup, I don't care if they're, you talk about stressful innings, and that's normally when you get a team starts getting guys on base. But I think even if the Yankees don't have guys on base, it still will be a stressful inning when you got to pitch to that Yankee lineup.
Yeah.
It is still a stressful inning because any one of those guys could take you deep at any time.
Also, the Yankees, interestingly enough, sent down Miguel Andujar yesterday, him and 2 other players. So they've been trying to experiment with him. Obviously, Joe Urshela kind of took his spot at third base, and they've been trying to experiment with him in the outfield. But maybe Clint Frazier gets called back up. I think he deserves to be up here. I don't know what the Yankees organization is doing with him. They keep screwing him over. I don't know. He deserves to be up in the majors. He's a good hitter.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was surprised they sent him down initially. I mean, I know they're trying to get different guys at bats and trying to work through different things, but Clint Frazier is a guy I think could really help out the Yankees. I really do.
Yeah.
Good player, good hitter, good fielder. I think he deserves to be in the major leagues. Maybe use him as a DH on occasion, but get him into the lineup. As far as the Phillies go, as I said, the Phillies bullpen seemed to get a little bit better, back on their feet Wednesday night in their win over the Yankees. I'm not putting too much faith in the bullpen as of yet, but it was good to see them look a little better. Looking at the Phillies rotation, they seem to look decent the first time through. Jake
Wheeler
Arrieta
looked pretty good.
What?
Wheeler looked pretty good.
Wheeler looked very good. I wonder if there's another team in New York that could have used his services and couldn't afford to pay him. I don't know who that team would be, but there might be another team in New York that could use Zach Wheeler's services right about now. But I'm glad he signed with the Phillies. He actually came out with an interesting quote after pitching the other night. And that is the fact that he signed with the Phillies because he always wanted to pitch to their catcher, JT Realmuto. And he was a big reason that he came to Philadelphia and signed with the Phillies, is that after seeing him from afar throughout the past few years, when the Mets were playing the Florida Marlins or when the Mets played the Phillies last year, he always thought highly of JT as a catcher. And when he got the opportunity to possibly sign with the Phillies, the fact that he would be pitching to JT actually put things a little bit, was like the cherry on top, and put things over the top for him coming to Philadelphia. So again, sign JT, Phillies, sign JT.
Yeah, he's playing for that contract. He had 2 home runs in the last 2 games of the series.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be with everything he can do, just like throwing guys out at second base, hitting, running balls out, getting base hits, handling a pitching staff. I mean, everything he does, he has to be the best catcher in baseball.
Oh yeah.
With everything he brings to the table, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And he's going to get, I don't care what you say about the economics of baseball or whatever, he's going to be the best free agent on the market this coming winter, and he's going to get a ginormous contract. No question about it.
Oh yeah.
It's just what numbers is he's going to hit, and he's going to hit some really good numbers. I know. Also, speaking about the Phillies, Joe Girardi had his first brush with the Phillies fans a little bit in the Phillies media because he used the Phillies closer for one pitch in a game the other night, and then did not bring him back for the second game where he might have been able to use him. We're talking about Hector Neris here. And, he was questioned about, hey, he only threw one pitch. Why didn't you use him in the other game? You could have used him again. And Joe Girardi had an interesting comeback for that. He said, sometimes I got to look out for the player's best interest, player's health. Sometimes even though they want to come into the game, I got to hold them back, both for the team's best interest and for the player's best interest. And that's why he didn't play him, put him in there in the second game when he could have used him. Interesting brush with the Philly media and the Phillies fans, because a lot of people wanted to see Hector Neris in there to see if he could have helped out the Phillies. But, if it turns out down the road that because he didn't use Hector Neris in this one game, that it saved him, and the Phillies can get into the playoffs in some way, shape, or form, I think it turns out okay. But definitely an interesting decision by Joe Girardi in not bringing in Hector Neris in that second game and keeping him in the bullpen when the Phillies could have used him. So very interesting managing by Joe Girardi. And then coming up this coming Sunday, it looks very much like we're going to see the highly regarded Phillies prospect Spencer Howard make his major league pitching debut on Sunday. So that'll be interesting, because I think the fact that Girardi used Nick Pivetta in the game Wednesday night, or Thursday night, I will say, used him out of the bullpen, he would have been the one that I would say, if they weren't going to use If they weren't going to call out Spencer Howard, they would probably have gone with Pavetta. But the fact that Girardi pulled him out of the bullpen and used him, I think pretty much seals the deal. And we will be seeing Spencer Howard on Sunday, highly regarded Phillies prospect. I know a lot of people want to see Spencer Howard, want to see what he can do. And I will say this as well. It puts a hell of a lot of pressure on Vince Velasquez when he pitches, because now Vince Velasquez is literally pitching for his job, because as Spencer Howard comes up, shows out, I think he'll remain, even though Girardi said maybe he could put him in the bullpen. I think there'll be a lot of pressure to keep Spencer Howard in the rotation and bolster that and move Velasquez into the bullpen, where I think, and a lot of Phillies fans agree with this take, is that is the best spot for Vince Velasquez. Give him an inning or two out of the bullpen. Let him throw his 95-mile-an-hour stuff, mix it up maybe a little bit, and put him in the bullpen, and you let him go on all cylinders, because he hasn't really worked out too well as a starter. It's been every so often he'll be okay, but a lot of times he'll get through the lineup once or twice and then end up blowing up. So I think he's better suited for the bullpen. So I think if Spencer Howard comes in, shows up, shows out Sunday, that could be the end for Velasquez in the Phillies bullpen, especially if he struggles in his next start.
Definitely.
I definitely think that. But final word, Joe, on the brutal schedule for the Phillies and the Marlins and some other teams coming up. I think it's going to be a tough way to end the season for these teams.
I mean, yeah, you got to do what you got to do to fit these games in there. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be a brutal stretch. You're definitely going to – where obviously managers are going to be resting players a lot. Of course they're trying to win, but, they're going to – these bench players are going to get a lot more playing time this year, just for having to start in place of the regular guys.
Now, I wanted to throw this out there, too, because I thought about this as well. We talked about whether there should be an asterisk next to the World Series winner this year. I don't think this season equates to a normal 162 game season, but I will say this, knowing how brutal the schedule is on some of these teams, like the Phillies, like the Marlins, like some of these other teams that are being parked for a little bit, the stopping, the starting, all these games being kind of smacked into the schedule, how brutal this is. I won't say that I will remove the asterisks. I won't say it equates directly to a 162 game season, but I will say that if you get a team coming out like the Phillies or whatever that win the World Series, I will say that they have earned it.
Totally. Any team that went to a World Series, it does. Everyone's playing. Actually, not everyone might play the same games. Everyone's playing around the same amount of games, but definitely, especially during the season, there should be no asterisks. The Astros deserve more of an asterisk than anyone who wins the World Series this year.
Yeah, like I said, I would look at this as kind of an outlier season, but now with this brutal schedule, with having to grind, you're talking about you have to grind through 162. Well, you're going to have to grind through double headers, traveling, all that other stuff that's going on. Yes, I know you don't have quite the traveling you do during the normal season. You're not going coast to coast or anything like that, but you're grinding through all these double headers that are going to be coming up. The stopping, the starting, everything like that. So while I'm going to remove the asterisks. I'm going to say that, there shouldn't be an asterisk, but I will say that the team that wins the World Series will have probably earned it.
Yeah. And the records, on the other hand, are more, I don't know about the asterisks. Like if someone, in terms of if someone say hits over 400. You know, we gotta.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
That I will say. But I'm talking about team wise.
yeah,
Like you like winning the World Series. But I will say, like, yeah, those individual accolades, like hitting 400, stealing X amount of bases, that type of thing.
yeah.
You know, I will agree with you there.
Well, still, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I will absolutely agree with you there. As we said, MLB announced today the Cubs Cardinals game is postponed to allow for additional testing and to complete the contact tracing process. This is now the 12th consecutive day that MLB has postponed games because of positive COVID-19 tests. You know, which is why I say, you know, the team would just, you know, and it doesn't have to be a team that has had the COVID-19 positive test, you know, like the Chicago Cubs. They're there, they're healthy. It's not, you know, it's not their fault that the game got postponed, but you know what? They're sitting there, they're parked, you know, parked, not being able to play the Cardinals, so they're shut down, you know. So again,
Yeah.
it's the stopping and the starting, not necessarily with the teams with the positive test. It's the other teams affected as well, like the Cubs, like the Phillies, and like the Yankees were earlier too, because they were supposed to play the Phillies and they weren't able to do that. You know, they got their schedule, you know, upended too. So again, you know, I think, you know, whatever team wins the World Series will have earned it this year.
Definitely.
You know, I absolutely think that. But now we got, we'll switch topics. We will go to the NHL. Have you watched any NHL yet, Joe, or no?
I've watched a few games. I've watched the first two Rangers-Canes games, and obviously that series is over now. Rangers didn't even show up, it seemed.
They choked.
Yeah. I watched one of the Islanders games because they were on, and the Islanders actually just won their qualifying round earlier today. So, you know, we're getting down to the end of that where a lot of these qualifying rounds are going to end soon. You got every team to play, every matchup today, team's got a 2-1 lead in the series. So, you know, hypothetically, you could be having every team clinched that's supposed to play today. Probably not going to happen. The Coyotes are up 2-1 on the Preds right now. They're in their series, but they're tied at 2 right now in the second period. So that's a game to look out.
Yeah.
For the Maple Leafs, I know they had a huge collapse yesterday against the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this, you know, playoff style hockey by the NHL. I think they're doing a good job, you know, similar to the NBA. I think they're doing a good job. You know, there hasn't been any positive tests coming out of there. They're keeping their players healthy. They're providing some good action, you know, when they play. You know, we did have the New York Rangers exit the Canadian bubble. So they're done for their season, as you said. Now, the big thing with the Rangers is what's going to happen to King Henri Lundqvist. You know, what's his future going to be? Because it doesn't look like he's going to return to the New York Rangers next season.
Yeah, he most likely played his last game in a Ranger uniform, which is sad. They couldn't do anything. It's sad he couldn't win a cup. You know, he's 38 years old. I don't know if he's going to retire or not. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But, you know, if he did, what a career, the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't know. It just seems that the Rangers left him out to dry this series.
A little bit, I would say. Yeah. I think there's a possibility he could go back to his native country. His brother, I believe, is a coach for one of the teams there. So If he decided to retire from the NHL, he could go back overseas, play out, the next year or 2 years or whatever he wanted to do for his brother. So that could be an option for him. I don't know if he's going to want to be a backup on another team, because that would be, I think, where he'd be trending in the NHL. I don't know another team that would bring him on as a starting goaltender at this point, because of age and because of his ability. So the Rangers obviously are going to cut bait with him in some way, shape, or form. I think they either try to trade him, but then again, what are you getting in return at this point for Lundqvist? So I think his time in New York has come to an end, and I think he either retires and hangs it up entirely, or maybe retires and goes back overseas and finishes out his time playing for his brother there, who's a coach. He could easily be a goaltender there. So, he does have an option there, but I don't see I just don't see him being a backup on another team. I just don't foresee that. I don't think that's something that he would want to do. I mean, but as you say, the only thing missing from his resume is a Stanley Cup championship, So I don't know if for 1 year he would want to chase that on some other team as a backup. I don't know if that would mean the same thing to him as it would mean the same thing as far as him winning it as a starting goaltender, and like you said, I think it's really sad because he was the New York goaltender for so long, being a member of the New York Rangers. I mean, he was it. King Henry was, the man on the New York Rangers for so long that it is kind of sad for him to have left the New York Rangers without winning a Stanley Cup. But, that's just the way it is sometimes, With some of these great athletes, they end up not finishing out their career winning that championship. But kudos to Lundqvist for being the great goaltender that he was on the New York Rangers. And hopefully, he does what's best for him and for his family. And if it's retiring fully and he doesn't play another game, good for him. And if he retires and goes overseas and finishes out his time maybe playing for his brother, good things there. But Flyers are going to be playing for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference on Saturday. Big matchup with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Winner gets the number 1 seed in the conference. Loser gets number 2. Flyers have been doing extremely well, but so have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Who do you think is going to come out on top, Joe?
I got to go with the Flyers. They were, like I said but last week, they were the hottest team before the COVID break, and now they're still hot. And I don't know, they're just playing like they're the best team in the East right now.
I agree with you. It may be hard for a New York fan to, kind of stomach, but I do think, I said this before, I think the Flyers are probably one of the most complete teams all around, playing offense, defense, goaltending. They're getting some good coaching as well. So, I think you look around and the Flyers, and they're playing and they remain hot. They got their legs under them and everything still. They were one of the hottest teams before the break because of the COVID-19 virus. They picked up kind of where they've left off after the break. They still have their legs under them. They're playing. I mean, I saw a beautiful goal where the puck was thrown behind the back pass for a goal for the Flyers, and it was just amazing. And when you have that kind of chemistry and continuity going on, and you have those legs underneath it, I mean, you can do some good. You can go far in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You really can. You really can. But, as Boyd's pointed out to me, you always got to watch out, some of these lesser teams with the NHL playoffs, some of the lesser teams come back, and if they get a hot goaltender, they can be really tough to beat too. That's one of the great things about the NHL playoffs. You think you're going up against a lesser team, but if they get a hot goaltender, you never know.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun to watch going forward. Got some NFL stories to go through. Bunch of them. Doug Peterson tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. So he is at
Second
home.
NFL coach to test positive.
Yes. And he is at home, quarantined. Not sure when he's going to come back to the NovaCare complex just yet, as he has to go through the testing protocol. So he's away from the NovaCare complex. Now we've got Deuce Staley taking over the day-to-day operations at the NovaCare complex from Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's still having his Zoom meetings, still telling Deuce Staley kind of what to do, but Deuce Staley is there in person, kind of taking over the team, running the team while Doug Peterson is away. Me personally, I love seeing this because I think it gets Deuce Staley a little more notoriety amongst the coaches within the NFL. This past year, Deuce Staley, who I think would make an excellent NFL head coach, didn't even get a sniff, didn't get an interview with any team in the NFL that had a coaching vacancy. In fact, the last time he was interviewed for a head coaching job was the one that went to Doug Peterson. He didn't get the job for offensive coordinator either, but he was named assistant head coach. I think this may open some eyes within the NFL circles with GMs, maybe with some owners, to give more consideration to Deuce when it comes to openings. I want to keep him on the Eagles personally because I love Deuce as a running backs coach and assistant head coach. I would hate to lose him, but for his professional career, I think this is a good opportunity, and it says, hey, this is how much we value Deuce, that when Doug Peterson's away from the team, Deuce Staley's there. None of these other assistants that we brought in, like a Marty Morningwig or whoever else, none of these other guys that we brought in there, I'm putting in charge. I'm leaving Deuce in charge for day-to-day stuff and for coaching the guys and running things while I'm away. I think that opens some eyes for Deuce Staley. What do you think, Joe?
I think this is definitely going to be a good experience for him. I definitely think he could get a better coaching job somewhere else. But like you said, Eagles fans would probably rather him stick around.
Yeah.
But this will be a good experience for him personally. He'll see how good he is at running an entire team, rather than one unit.
Yep. And in other Eagles news, this is going to fire up Jeff Scott here. We wanted to get into it last week, but we'll get into it right now. We had, players and coaches vote on, I think it was players, right? Vote on the NFL top 100 players currently. And there was one glaring omission from the NFL top 100 list, and that was current Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. Was on the list before, left off of it this year. Glaring omission, should have absolutely been on the NFL 100 list, but was left off. What did you guys think about this? I'll start with Jeff Scott.
You already know what I'm going to say, Jay. I mean, come on. Yeah, he's a good player, but I don't see him in the top 100. I don't care.
Oh, he's there. He's absolutely there.
The only person that should really be on there is you know who, but I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to get you fired up. But he should have been on there because, come on. You push him over for this guy who keeps getting himself hurt all the time. Look what happened. Have they been back? No, they haven't been back since. And he's been there the whole year. Look what happened. Nothing. So he should not be on the list. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't think he's that good.
Oh, he should absolutely be on the list. What do you think, Joe? Glaring omission or?
You know, he did have the best year of his career last year. I'm not.
Yeah, he didn't get hurt.
Yeah. Not only that, he became the first Eagles. He was the first Eagles QB. I think I don't think it was ever, or the first one in a long time to throw for over 4,000 yards at least, which was pretty crazy.
And not have a wide receiver go over 500 yards.
I don't know.
Wentz should not be on that list. He keeps getting hurt.
Thank you, Mike.
It's tough. when you look at who made the list, like they released like a few people that like missed the cut, like the next 10 people. He's not on there. Wentz. So I don't know. I know this list is always controversial every year, but I don't know. The big thing people were like, oh, Dak Prescott made it 46. Dak Prescott also had the best year of his career. Like Dak Prescott led the league in passing yards last year, so I don't think he's the 46th best player in the NFL. He's a good amount
now,
lower
is
than
this
that.
100 best players all time or just?
No,
this was coming into this year.
Yeah.
And
okay, so
I don't know. Wentz, looking at the list, I really don't think Wentz should be Wentz should be on there.
Oh, he absolutely should be.
Wentz should not be on there. It should have been Mahomes.
Well, Mahomes was on there.
He was on there.
Oh, yeah.
He just wasn't number one,
in my opinion.
Yeah. He's number one. He won the MVP.
He won the MVP
the
and
year
he led the
before.
Super Bowl comeback.
Yeah, but no, he didn't win the
wasn't
MVP this year. But he won the MVP in 2018 and got ranked the same thing he got ranked this year when he won the Super Bowl. But Lamar Jackson wins the MVP, and all of a sudden he's the number one player in the NFL. No disrespect to Lamar Jackson, but Mahomes is just the best player in the NFL right now.
And how did they reward him? Contract extension, 10 years.
Oh, yeah. He deserved every part of it.
And what did he do with that money? He bought a stake in the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Royals. I
don't. Not only do I play the team, I own the team now.
not only does he play for the Kansas City Chiefs, but he's a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. So,
wouldn't that be like a conflict of interest, though?
No, because it's football and baseball. If he bought a controlling interest, if he bought ownership in the Chiefs and he was a player, I would say
conflict of interest.
Then yeah, that would be a conflict of interest. But since he bought a stake in the Kansas City Royals, there's no conflict of interest there.
Yeah, unless he goes to play baseball, in which case I'm betting all my money against him. He's gonna hold.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you know what? I'll activate myself to the Kansas City Royals. But so there's no conflict of interest there. But as far as Carson, I mean, this was a guy who a couple years ago was going to be the league MVP. If he didn't get hurt for the last couple of games of the season, and Tom Brady snared it, was going to be league MVP. He had, was thrown to a bunch of practice squad players at the end of last season, and literally had a piano on it, carried them like a piano was on his back into the playoffs last year. I mean, I don't know very many other quarterbacks that could have put forth the effort that he did, dragging the Eagles into the playoffs with the personnel that he had last year, with lack of experience and that type of thing. So I think Carson Wentz absolutely deserves to be on the top 100 list. Absolutely.
No, he does not deserve it.
Absolutely does.
Maybe at like
how many Super Bowls has he won?
Well, he does have one ring. He got him. He he put Nick Foles in position to get there. Without the
Foles
superhuman-
technically won that Super Bowl. Wentz didn't.
Mike, the dealio is if Nick Foles had to play that season, the Eagles would not have gotten to the Super Bowl. Bottom line, the Eagles would not.
Jay,
Yeah.
let me throw this at you. Do you let's say you have a horse and cart and you're riding along and you come up to a cliff and the horse stops. Do you give the horse the credit or do you give the driver the credit?
Well, if the driver said whoa or whatever, then I would have to give the driver credit because the horse just listened to what the driver said.
Yeah, well, that's not what happened. The horse stops by itself. Guess who's the driver? Wentz is the driver who doesn't know what the heck he's doing.
He does.
Foles was the horse that actually knew what was going on. It's like, I'm taking this the rest of the way.
Yeah, but you would not have.
Got.
But you would not have gotten to the cliff without Carson Wentz. That's the whole thing.
Oh, please. He just held the reins. He didn't do nothing. Come on, Jay.
He did all the heavy lifting.
And then the next year, he was all by himself. Well, you know what I mean. The 2 year when he was by himself. And what happened? Nothing.
And he got into the playoffs. He got into the playoffs.
And then what happened? Jay?
Joked.
What? Finish the sentence. They starts with an L and ends in loser.
They lost.
Jada Clowney hit him, with a spear or whatever in the head, and he got a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been a penalty.
Wait, so you're admitting he got hurt? You're admitting he got hurt?
He got a concussion, but it wasn't his fault that he got hurt.
But he still got hurt.
But it wasn't his fault that he got. I'll give you the
I'll keep bringing this up every time.
I'll give you the leg tear. I'll give you that. But last year's injury was not Carson Wentz's fault. And we don't know what would have happened had he stayed in the game against the Seahawks. So
nothing, because he would have lost.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Foles hurts himself on a touchdown pass, and they still won. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
But see, Foles has not had any success outside of Philadelphia.
Yes, he has.
No, he has not.
I mean,
Joe, you'll back me up on this. Nick,
you know why?
I'm not backing you up on this, Jay.
The first time
your
that
own.
Foles left Philly, he went to the Rams to become a starter, and back when they were in St. Louis, and he was horrible and got upended by Case Keenum.
Exactly, horrible.
And, no, not a knock against him because he's always on the case, but then
bad joke there, Polito.
Not a joke. I always that's the thing with my friends. We always say that he's always on the case, but
still a bad joke.
Move on.
I'll work on it. But he went to the Chiefs to take a backup role, and then he came back to Philly.
Yeah,
he came back to Philly. Did great. Obviously, everyone loves him there. He leaves, goes to Jacksonville, gets a massive contract. He just like Carson Wentz. Maybe he learned from the master. He got hurt, and Gardner Minshew upended him. And now he's on the Bears fighting first spot with Mitchell Trubisky. And I would say Mitchell Trubisky will upend him, but it would be embarrassing if Nick Foles had. Mitch Trubisky is – he sucks. I didn't want to say that he sucks, but he sucks. We'll see. Outside of Philly, Nick Foles has not done very well. He made good money, but he hasn't done very well.
I agree. Get rid of him. If they had kept them together, Carson pushing them up to the playoffs, Nick Foles taking it home. There's a combination. Why did they mess it up? This is where I'm going the whole time.
Because they couldn't afford Nick Foles.
Oh, please.
No, I mean they literally could not afford Nick Foles because Nick Foles' contract after they won the Super Bowl, and Nick Foles knew he was leaving, after that anyway, because Nick Foles was going to get a massive contract, and you can't pay your backup quarterback as much as Nick Foles was making and hope to field a competitive. You can't. You would have two quarterbacks, no offensive line, no wide receivers, no running back, no defensive line. You wouldn't have anybody worthy on your team. You'd have Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, and garbage. After that, so you can't pay your backup as much as the Jags were going to pay Nick Foles. Nick Foles was going, and Nick Foles wanted to be a starter again too after that to see what he could do as a starter. And that's, I think one of the reasons why he's on the, Chicago Bears. I mean, the Jags traded him, but I'm sure they consulted with him as well. And he saw the opportunity to compete with Trubisky and thought that, he could beat out Trubisky, which he probably can. It's going to be an interesting battle in these next couple of weeks while we go through training camp. But I think Nick Foles will, wind up beating out Trubisky because, like Joe said, I don't think Trubisky's a great quarterback by any means. So I think, and you look at who the head coach is, Matt Nagy, on the Chicago Bears, and he's an Andy Reid disciple. So again, you have that familiarity with Nick Foles as a quarterback, being in a system similar to the one that that Andy Reid runs and Doug Peterson runs. So that again gives Nick Foles a little bit of a leg up over Trubisky in terms of beating him out. So I think Nick Foles. Now, what kind of success will Chicago have? Yeah, I don't know with being in the division that they're in and being in the conference that they're in. I don't know what kind of success they're going to have, but I do think that Foles is going to wind up beating out Trubisky for the starting QB job. We also had some breaking news on the Eagles today. Eagles re-signed defensive end Vinny Curry to a 1-year deal. And it's interesting to me that they chose to bring back Vinny Curry over this guy named Jadeveon Clowney, who's still out there, who's still a free agent. Highly acclaimed Jadeveon Clowney still sitting out there, and the Eagles opt to bring in Vinny Curry over him. Interesting move by the Eagles. I know Vinny Curry is from obviously being in the Eagles defense for as long as he's been in it. Familiar with the play calling of Jim Schwartz, familiar with how Jim Schwartz runs things. So it's a familiarity factor there of Vinny Curry returning on a 1-year deal. But it's interesting they brought him back, and they didn't go after the much ballyhooed Jadeveon Clowney. A little bit of a surprise, Joe?
A little bit, but I don't know why Clowney's not being signed. It has to be how much he's asking for, because I just can't think of any other reason why he's not signed. And, he was in the top 100 list. He was like 40 something. He's obviously one of the best players in the NFL. I don't know. That he said that he wants to play for the Jets. I don't know if they have any interest in signing him. They should. But honestly, if he does sign with the Jets, knowing how the Jets like to do things, that's where his career goes to die or something.
Yeah, I would.
He's got to be signed before the season starts. This is I'm tired of these guys not getting signed to teams because they're asking for buttloads amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, he would have to get into a camp, get familiar with the defensive court. If he's not going back to Seattle, get familiar with the defensive coordinator, get familiar with his teammates, the play calling, the scheme, all of that. Takes a little while to get up to speed, and the fact that he's not signed yet, there's got to be something going on there. In terms of the years or the money that he just won't come off of. But if he won't come off of it, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for him because if you're healthy, you want to get out there and you want to play. I know some players have opted out, especially on the New England Patriots. But you got to get into training camp. You got to get, your body going. Sitting out a full year, I don't think does anything for his career. I don't think it earns him any more money if he's going to sit out a year just because, of the amount of years or the amount of money he's asking for. I don't think that gets him any more money if he's not on the field in 2020.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised that the Giants didn't go after him. There was talk of like they had a lot of cap spaces during this offseason. I'm surprised they didn't like go after him or something. You know, they got some lesser free agents, but you know, important ones like Blake Martinez or like Kyle Fackrell from the, you know, they got some linebacker help, but I don't know. I don't know. I thought maybe they would have signed him. But I thought someone would have signed him. Like, he's not asking for absolutely ridiculous money, but he is asking for a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know he may be searching for that perfect scenario, a team that he feels can make the playoffs, can maybe go on a Super Bowl run, but those teams may not be looking for a defensive end at the price or years that he's asking for. And if he doesn't come off of that a little bit, he may wind up sitting out the full season. Yeah, I mean, I know players come down with the COVID-19 virus. I know they got rules and regulations in place and everything like that, and who knows what happens during the course of the season. But even if it is during the course of the regular season, he's not going to make that the price tag that he may be asking for, because teams have their cap in place already, so they're not going to go spend a wad of money and give him a bunch of years if it's in the middle of the season. They're just not going to do that. Yeah. So to me, he's got to figure out something fast and get into a training camp. You know, I mean, I hope he does, because I like watching him play, but there's something definitely going on there. And speaking of something going on, another story broke within the past day or so. Yes, the New York Giants 22-year-old cornerback DeAndre Baker is facing a mandatory minimum of 10 years and up to life in state prison if convicted on 4 counts of robbery with a firearm. Now, the other thing that came along with that was the fact that all charges were dropped against Seattle Seahawks cornerback Quentin Dunbar due to a lack of evidence. So Dunbar's free as a bird. They said they're not going to pursue any charges against him. He's free. He's clear to go on about his life as a Seattle Seahawks cornerback. But unfortunately for the New York Giants, looks like they could be without DeAndre Baker for a while. What do you make? Mike, I'll go to you with this one. What do you make of this news about DeAndre Baker? Mike?
There goes a first-round pick. I cannot believe DeAndre Baker would just throw his career away with something as stupid as armed robbery. Come on, you're better than that, man. I mean, what is the NFL doing? What are guys like DeAndre Baker doing? You're representing the NFL. You're representing a multi-billion-dollar sports league. You're representing the New York Giants, a multi-billion-dollar sports franchise. You're representing the city of New York, a major tourist hub. Come on. You're representing a lot of people, a lot of big franchises. Show some effing respect. Show some freaking respect.
I agree. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah. Another Giants whiffing on another first-round corner. About the third or fourth time that's happened in my lifetime. So, you know. You know, yeah, he did an idiotic thing.
Yep.
I highly doubt they're going to even retain him. He may be in prison for the rest of his what would have been his playing career. So, you know, just good riddance. Find something else. Don't hold your breath on him.
Sign Jadeveon Clowney. Hello. The answer's right in front of you.
Is that going to help the cornerback, the defensive back help they need? Like, if anything, that would mean they still signed Logan Ryan, who is the best defensive back guy on the market right now. But the problem is he's a slot corner. The Giants would be paying him cornerback one money, and that's just going to blow. That's going to turn out like the Byron Maxwell situation, exactly what the Eagles did. But then they paid up they paid a slot corner a bunch of money to play with the on the outside, and it just didn't work out.
Did
I don't
not
know.
work.
I don't know. I kind of hope. I mean, I kind of hope the Giants don't sign Logan Ryan, because then they'll just be giving a bunch of money to a guy that I don't think is going to end up doing well. But you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and tried to sign him.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, it's a rough go because I do believe DeAndre Baker was highly touted coming out of college, so I can't blame the Giants for going out and drafting DeAndre Baker, but I got to blame him for being this stupid and doing that when he had his future literally paved in gold in front of him. I mean, why be if you're that cornerback, and you have so much in front of you, so much is going to be given to you, why go out and why ruin it by being that stupid and putting yourself in that situation? No matter what you hope to gain out of that, you have to think. You have to play things forward. You have to think about everything. And the fact that he did that was definitely a stupid thing on his part and put himself in a bad situation. And now, I mean, up to life in state prison. I mean, throwing your whole life away over one stupid thing is utterly ridiculous,
Yeah.
We will take a brief timeout and we will come back and talk about some really cool other things, some WWE stories, LeBron James, and something that happened with a high school cheerleader. So stay tuned and we will be right back.
What's on the menu at Sports Skillet? Local and national sports talk that's always fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff,
Jay, and Kelly.
Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. on 920 a.m. The Jersey.
Yes, and definitely tune into our show on 920 The Jersey. Tune into our live stream every Friday here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and share, as we say. So let's get into some of these other stories real quick that we had came out during the course of the week here. We have former WWE superstar Marty Jannetty posted something on social media, took it down immediately, Jeff, but it alluded to a murder that he committed during his teenage years. Unbelievable that now, I mean, Marty Jannetty's in his 60s, posted this story on his social media account, alluded to him committing murder, went into it a little bit further on a podcast or a radio show that he went on, basically gave some details about it, about him wanting to purchase some marijuana, when he was working in a bowling alley. The guy took him behind the bowling alley, attempted to rape him and everything like that. Pretty gruesome story, but it does have the police looking into it. I mean, you're 60 years old. Your wrestling career is pretty much behind you at this point. Nobody's even looked into this for decades. Why even bother bringing it up now? Why even bother alluding to it? I don't understand it. I mean, personally, I think Marty Jannetty could use some mental assistance here, What do you think?
Well, unless he's feeling guilty now in his old age and he's reminiscing, and maybe he's thinking the limit.
Yeah.
What is that? The time frame for actually persecuting somebody.
Oh yeah.
It's eluding me right now. Statute of limitations.
Yep.
Maybe he thinks it's so far past that he can talk about it now and admit to it. Maybe, like I said, maybe feel guilty. But truthfully, if you committed murder, I don't care how old you are, whether you had a great career or not, you should technically pay for that, because you're talking about a crime that happened, never been solved. What about the family of these people that have for years been going, why was he killed? Why can't they find the person that did it? What was the reasoning behind it?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the guy comes out, oh yeah, look what I did when I was younger. I'm like, hello, there he is. Let's get him. Get him. Who cares who he is? You're.
Oh yeah, I
But
mean,
if you're dumb enough to admit to the crime, well, then you should,
yeah. I mean,
pay for it.
to me, it also brings up the case, kind of like Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I won't say uh, totally equal to that case, but it's somewhat similar in the fact that, allegedly Jimmy Snuka murdered this woman in a hotel room, kind of got away with it for a number of years. And then because of a special, people started looking into it and everything, and eventually went to court, ended up passing away. But, without Marty Jannetty bringing this up on a social media post, he would have gotten away with this scot-free. Now, who knows if he's actually guilty of this, but from everything he's kind of laid out, put out there on the show and through social media, I mean, it does sound somewhat believable that this did occur. So it's good that the authorities are looking into it to find out if this is even credible. And if it is, and they do find some credibility behind this, I mean, Marty Jannetty could be spending the rest of his life in jail, I mean, he could get, 20 years, 30 years, in which case, he may not be a free man for too much longer.
Yeah, especially if it's true, but,
Yep. And I'll throw this out to you guys as well. LeBron James this week responded to President Trump saying he will not watch NBA games due to the players kneeling on the court. President Trump says, NBA, I'm out. You guys kneeled. I'm done. I thought it was a good response by LeBron James saying, okay, you don't want to watch. We don't need you to watch. Go your own way, President Trump. What did you guys think about this?
Good response by LeBron. It's like, because it's fair. It's like one person watching isn't gonna like affect anything. People are gonna be watching the NBA. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
if it really bothered him that much, he could just not watch the beginning of the game, like before the game.
Yeah.
When they do the kneeling, but it it doesn't matter. It'd be the same thing. Like it's like any other person online on the internet. You're just like, I'm not gonna watch this anymore. It's like okay, that's your choice.
Yeah. And I've said it before, past times. It's like, now that we know why it's being done, we can understand instead of just going right to disrespect, which is not. Now that we're all on board. And just because one person, like, I agree with you, Joe, one person says, "Oh, I'm not going to watch anymore," I'm like, okay, goodbye. I'm not going to let it bother me. I mean, I'm glad that LeBron said that. It's like, I'm not going to let it bother me.
I don't know. When I watch sports, I don't watch it. I don't watch it for I could what they do in the beginning of the games. That's fine. However, as long as it doesn't actually impede like the play of the game, which is what I'm there for. I'm there.
Yeah.
Usually during that time, I'm making a popcorn or something. It's like, all right, is it all on yet? No, they're doing the anthem. Whatever. I'll be okay. So no one really cares.
But yeah, and I think it's
a good response by LeBron James. Trump says, "I'm not watching the NBA." LeBron says, "Get that weak stuff out of here, Trump. You going down, son."
Yeah, I think there's a lot more that LeBron wanted to say, but he kept it nice, kept it, even keel and
professional.
You don't mess with LeBron James. You don't.
Yep. Yeah,
good response, because anything more, if he wanted to probably say what he was feeling, it would alienated some viewers, or he probably would alienated some current viewers or fans, because I just give the most neutral response you can. Can't go wrong.
And then you can't get any backlash either way, whether it's negative or positive. It's just
Exactly.
there it is.
Yep. And I think it was a good response by LeBron. And I think it was, once again, the president trying to rally his troops, stir up something a little bit. Because, again, we all know that this protest isn't about the flag. It's about racial injustice by the police and and inequality, and nothing to do with the anthem or the flag or anything like that. That's not what it's about. That's not what it has been about. It was just a president trying to rile everybody up again. And I agree with LeBron. You know what? If President Trump doesn't want to watch the NBA because of that, then, hey, don't watch the NBA. The NBA will get terrific ratings with or without Donald Trump watching them.
Exactly. He should be working anyway. Stop watching sports.
Yep.
He doesn't work behind that desk.
Yep. Also, we had this story come out recently. Daphne High School cheerleader, a student at a Daphne High School, demands action from her school after a picture was posted of her cheerleading friends, cheerleading teammates posing with shirts with the Confederate flag on them.
Oh, boy.
You can't.
That symbol was banned.
I understand the picture was taken a couple of months ago, but even so, in this climate, you can't be doing things like that. Totally inappropriate right now by her cheerleading friends, and I do believe that she is right in demanding the school take action against the squad. I know it'll upset the squad and everything, but I do believe it was right for the cheerleader to voice her concerns, voice her opinion, and to try and get to high school to take action against the cheerleading squad. What do you guys think?
Definitely right for her to call it to attention, get the school to take action against her squad mates. And I thought that Confederate symbol was banned.
Yeah, it. I mean, it is. It is banned.
I don't think it was total. I don't think it totally was 4 months ago. That's
true.
Taken.
Could be. Yeah.
But still, like, come on. Like, those are the kind of situations from I pulled the old Randy Moss. Come on, man. Like,
no, that's Keyshawn Johnson.
I thought that was. Oh, you're right. You're right. Why did I think Randy Moss did that?
I don't know. But for people who are not familiar with the story, a group of Alabama cheerleaders from Daphne High School are under fire for posing with the T-shirt emblazoned with the Confederate flag. On July 4th, the girls posted an Instagram photo posing with the T-shirt bearing the image of the Confederate flag that said, "I love redneck boys," on the T-shirt. Black squad member Reagan Coleman quit the team after seeing the girls weren't punished by the school and were allowed to remain on the squad. No matter how much I love something, I love myself more and I respect myself more, and I could not be on that team, Reagan said. Baldwin County Public Schools said the Confederate flag photo incident was handled at the school level, quote, but Reagan said nothing was done about it. So that's
they wishy-washied it.
Yes. Reagan's mother, Latita Coleman, said there's no two sides to that flag. That means hatred. That's what it stands for us. We were oppressed with that flag. They used it when they burned crosses in our ancestors' yards, when it was railed around on horses. I don't know what history you're reading, but if you read the U.S. history, it tells you exactly what that flag stands for and what it means, especially to African Americans. That was Reagan's mother, Latita Coleman. The photo was posted by one of the cheerleaders on Instagram, but it was immediately taken down following backlash in the comments section. Latita, Reagan's mom, said she spoke with school officials about the photo, but claims there's been no punishment for the photo. So that's where we stand with that story. So again, if you want
And another story that just broke locally, West Windsor Plainsboro decided to cancel all their fall high school sports.
There you go. I
Really?
wanted to get in that with you. Two of the guys
I
that
just saw that on PSC's website.
see, two of the guys that used to work with us on Sports Skillet, Ethan and Josh, used to go to West Windsor Plainsboro High School. So it's interesting that they canceled the fall sports again. I think we made
Hightstown High, my high school, maybe next.
It could very well be, Mike. So what do you think of the high schools canceling the fall sports? I mean, this
is getting chaotic. My only suggestion would be to move some of the fall sports to the spring, but I'm not sure if that will work.
Yeah, no. Well, there would be too many scheduling conflicts because a lot of kids in high school, like they play multiple sports. So like, you play one sport in one season, one sport in the other season.
Yeah.
And you just cause overlapping issues.
And what about going to college too? A lot of players from high school, be it football, be it soccer, what have you, some of these winter or fall sports need that exposure to scouts from different colleges to go to actually get drafted to a college, to get scholarships, things like that. If you're canceling the fall sports, that could affect scholarships and things like that, right, Joe?
Exactly. If any high school athletes have any offers from a college now, it probably be, if it's a pretty decent offer, I feel like they would be wise to take it now. Especially, but I don't know how the recruitment's going to go. They're going to have to base it all off of last year, but so much improvement is made during high school sports to, some athletes may not shine out till that senior year. And that, that's where they really get a good amount of offers from, because all of a sudden here they come. Like, not everyone can start. Not everyone starts out just being a prodigy their freshman year.
Exactly.
With another idea. Why not just do like a bubble environment like the NHL and NBA are doing?
Because high school sports don't make as much money. It's all about money.
Yep, absolutely.
I could have given some other kind of answer, but that's really like.
Yeah, and
that's all the ideas I got for right now.
And the thing too, if you're going to do that bubble environment with high school, what you're basically saying is, okay, the academic students, you guys are going to be the only way you could really do it is, okay, the academic students, the non-athletes, anybody who's on a sport, anybody who's not playing a sport, who's not on a team, you guys are staying at home. You guys are going to be learning virtually. Anybody who's on a high school sport, a high school football team, a soccer team, or what have you, you guys are going to be allowed to come in. But even then, you're not. The kids aren't even going to be allowed to stay. So I don't, stay in the high school because the kids are going home. So you can't really do the bubble environment. I don't see how you could do that at the high. I mean, you could do it at maybe the college level because you have dorms there, but you don't normally have dorms at the high school level.
Maybe we should just all get hazmat suits.
Maybe. So now that I'm thinking this through, you can't really do the bubble environment on the high school level because the kids go home. There aren't dorms there. So the kids
look at some of the kids that actually posted pictures from down in Georgia when they first went back. All the crowded halls, and the fact that a lot of them aren't wearing masks, but they're not mandatory for them. I mean, they got in trouble, but of course they've been those detentions or suspensions have been reversed.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are you going to do? You can't limit people going into the school. It's utter chaos.
Exactly. I mean, it really is. And I feel for these kids because they might have needed like Joe pointed out, they might have needed that senior season just to show up, show out, and just prove to the college recruiters that what they're seeing is their natural ability and what they're going to get at the collegiate level. And now juniors, seniors, in high school, these guys aren't going to be able to show up and show out to these college recruiters, and that could affect their scholarships, as to, and as to what colleges they're able to get into, and
technically colleges now, because of what's going on, should change it to where, they have training days, they have recruitment days. They should do something like that so these kids have some outlet for them to go to show what they can do. Run plays, do this, do that, and kind of give an idea instead of having recruiters go to the high school now. Change it. So this will give them opportunities to get the scholarships, like you're saying, and to prove what they can do. Tryout days.
Maybe have like a pro day for these high school kids.
Exactly. Like give them the opportunity. Now it's hard because you can't.
Or have a combine or something like that, like they do in the NFL, for these college athletes, something like that, to give them a chance to show scouts something. And the scouts can social distance, just bring the kids in there, and have like a combine or have a pro day or something like that, just to run drills or something like that to give these kids an opportunity. That may be a really good idea, Jeff. Just to give them rather than having nothing, it at least is something that you can kind of have, and it can be over the course of a couple of days too. It doesn't have to necessarily be just one day. You can you can do this over maybe a couple of days to kind of reduce the chances of one of the kids coming down with COVID-19. That might work. That's a pretty good idea, Jeff. At least it gives them something.
Exactly. They can have a couple weeks of tryouts for different people. Sign up, say I need to try out because obviously you can't come out to my games because we have none. I want to show you what I can do.
There you go. And so as we wrap up the show, Mike, I'm going to go to you for our NASCAR update of the week. What do we got going on? How was last week? What do we got coming up?
Last week was pretty pedestrian at Loudon. This weekend, we've got us a double header at Michigan. Manufacturer bragging rights are on the line. Saturday, we have 500 kilometers at Michigan, 156 laps, 312 miles. And I'm going to pick a Chevy driver for this first one. I'm going to pick Chase Elliott. Now that he's got no Kyle Larson to deal with, I think Chase will finally get his Michigan win. Sunday, another 500-kilometer race at Michigan. And I think Chevy will get the sweep, but this time with Alex Bowman.
Really? Why are you picking him?
Alex Bowman has shown promise on the intermediate tracks, mile and a half, 2 mile tracks. I think he'll do well at Michigan.
Okay, good. So we've got Mike's prediction of the week. We got his NASCAR update. So I will throw this out there. Anything that we didn't cover, guys? Any final words? Anything like that?
No.
All right. So it looks like we covered everything. We want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. Again, reminder to like, follow, and share on our social media accounts. You never know who's going to show up on the Sports Skillet Show. I want to thank Jeff and Joe and Mike for being great this week, as they always are. Again, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our great content. Head over to sportskilletradio.com. You can see great content from Joe and Mike up there. And you can get all the latest sports news, show updates. Download our app so you can catch Sports Skillet wherever you may be. Thanks, everyone. We want to encourage you to stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe amid this COVID-19 virus. Enjoy the sports weekend, and we will see you right back here again next Friday on the Sports Skillet live stream. Have a great week.